Hi everyone. This lecture is intended to introduce you to the topic of growth management and how it can be integrated with comprehensive plan. Here's a map of two similar regions, the Willamette Valley in Oregon and the Wasatch Valley in Utah. These two areas have many similarities. They're about the same size. They have similar geography with a valley and mountains on at least one side. They have very much the same population. They are characterized by one big city and a number of small and medium-sized towns. They're both connected by an interstate highway. But then I hope you see some dissimilarities between these two maps. What you see in the yellow is the distribution of population and development. And you'll notice, hopefully, in the Wasatch Valley, the population is scattered around the valley and along the interstate. Whereas in the Willamette Valley, the population is focused in on Portland and some of the major cities, Salem and Eugene. And in fact, 2/3 of the population in the Willamette Valley is located in Portland, where it's just the reverse in the Wasatch Valley. 2/3 of the population is located outside of Salt Lake City. So how did this happen? Well, first let me introduce you to Hector McPherson. He is a hero in our planning world. He was a dairy farmer in Benton County, Oregon, in southern Willamette Valley, and he was a member of the Planning Commission for a number of years. He saw that the County Planning Commission tried to preserve farmland, but state laws were so weak back then that the commission was really powerless. And he saw that the farming economy and his whole way of life was being paved over and interrupted by urban sprawl year after year. He felt his property rights as a farmer were being impacted by this growth. So he ran for the state Senate and won as a Republican, and he was instrumental in creating a committee that developed the Land Conservation and Development Act, which was adopted by the Oregon legislature in 1973, and that became the foundation for Oregon's planning law and its growth management boundary. So this law states that there are 19 statewide planning goals that have been adopted by the state, and every community of a certain size must adopt a comprehensive plan and address how they are fulfilling those planning goals, those statewide goals. And then it requires that communities of a certain size designate an urban growth boundary to accommodate future growth. And it's based on the growth policy of the area, the needs based on forecasted population, the carrying capacity of the planning area, and open space and recreation needs. It creates a buffer from agricultural land or transition to open space from the urban area. Another state law that controls growth in a similar fashion is Washington State, and they have an urban growth area. This law was adopted in the early 1990s, and it is not as top-down driven as the Oregon state law. The law requires that a region, including the counties and the cities, work together, and they're given a forecasted population and employment growth by the state, and they then among themselves have to distribute where that growth is going to occur. Another unique feature of the Washington planning law, borrowed from an earlier planning legislation in the state of Florida, is the concept of concurrency. And concurrency means that when a plan is adopted, then every action of that community for development regulations, zoning, or capital budgets, or street improvements have to be concurrent with the land use and the policies of that plan. So it's a way to link the comprehensive plan with public investments and land use decisions that are made by local jurisdictions. Even without these growth management laws, like we have here in Idaho, Most comprehensive plans address growth in a number of ways, through locating the location of future land uses, identifying the types of land uses, in some cases identifying the pace of growth, and then also what that character of the growth will be in the future. And they do that through land use maps, in the case of location and type, and then policies for location, policies related to different kinds of land use, annexation, and policies related to land that is to be preserved. The type of land use growth is based on policies related to density and intensity, where if infill is happening or greenfield, or what will be the pattern of development in that community. And then pace is typically tied with carrying capacity of infrastructure and other public services based on certain adopted service levels the community would like to see. It's based on public investment and where new sewer, water, road system lines will be developed. And then also policies on economic development can also influence the pace of growth. And then finally, character. Policies related to design, neighborhood, identity, historic preservation, and sustainability all address the issue of the character of future growth. So here's a map from the Boise Comprehensive Plan that illustrates where growth is expected in a neighborhood of the city. And you can see that through the designation in the table, which identifies land that will be stable. That means really no change, no growth, and that's that blue-green area. And then areas where there's significant new development or redevelopment anticipated, mostly on the corridors. And then there's some hashed orange areas where some infill and some redevelopment are anticipated. And this map doesn't show it, but there's other maps in the plan that identify where reinvestment is really needed before any additional growth can happen. This map also shows you a little bit on the intensity of land use with those little round orange star-like things, which indicate neighborhood activity centers. So these are centers that will have sort of a mixed-use, compact, concentrated development. And throughout the plan, there's several different layers of these activity centers, from a neighborhood to a regional activity center, such as might be at the mall. So this is a chart that I took from the City of Redmond Comprehensive Plan, and I added that last column indicating the type of growth that each of these policy statements address in terms of location, character, pace, type, etc. And so you can see that through those policies, they're rich with implying certain types of growth, certain locations for the growth where that growth should happen, or certain conditions under which growth should happen. And here is a couple of policies from the City of Ketchum Comprehensive Plan linking growth with the availability of sewer and facilities, indicating that outside the area of city impact, they will not extend water or sewer services, and that where there's excess capacity is really where, in sewer and water facilities, is really where development should happen first. That should be the priority. And then finally, here's a couple statements from the City of McCall Comprehensive Plan that it really directly states what their character of growth should be. Our mountain character is unique to McCall, representing a small town feel, while highlighting the natural setting and the quality built environment. So pretty clear, explicit statement about what they expect. And then there's some others along the right-hand side. So Portland is really the poster child for growth management. And in this assignment, these first two assignments, you're going to look at a couple of videos related to Portland and the urban growth boundary. And in these videos, they bring out both the challenges and the benefits of urban growth systems. And I think you'll really enjoy those.